Got Sarah Wilson coming in.
Thank you.
Once you're on the stream, I'll turn my mic off.
David, can you phone Mike, please? We haven't got the stream started. I've not got any message coming out. Right, we're okay, Chair, we can go.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry for that. We were just waiting for the stream to start. So, good morning, councillors, officers, members of the public and press. Welcome to this meeting of the Safer Hartlepool Partnership. This meeting is a remote meeting being live streamed on the website and recorded. I'll now hand over to David Cosgrove from Democratic Services team.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I apologise that I've got no camera this morning, but I seem to have an IT fault. We'll begin the meeting by way of a roll call of those in attendance remotely, and may I request that people can confirm that they've received their agenda papers and can both hear and see people involved in the meeting. I shall now begin the roll call. Obviously, we've got Councillor Moore, the Chair, present. Councillor Tennant.
Present.
Thank you, John. Tony Hanson.
Yes, David.
Morning. Craig Blundred.
Apologies from Craig, he's on leave.
Thank you. And Sam, we've got John Lovett as sub for Jill Harrison.
That's right.
Thank you. We've got a representative from Cleveland Police with us, I believe. Got apologies from Sharon Cooney.
Yes, it's Peter Graham, the Chief Inspector from the Netherlands.
Good morning.
Morning.
Do we have anyone from the Police and Crime Commissioner's Office?
Yes, Sarah Wilson. I'm here on behalf of the Commissioner.
Good morning, Sarah. Anyone from the Youth Offending Board? No. National Probation Service? No. The Tees Valley Community Rehabilitation Company? No. I believe we have Nick Jones from Cleveland Fire and Rescue.
Yeah, present.
Joanne Hodgkinson.
Present.
Any representative from 13? No. Michael Houghton from the CCG.
Yeah, morning.
Morning. Sally Robinson.
Yeah, I'm here, David.
Morning. And I believe that concludes the roll call, Chair. Are there any other members online to record as present, please? I believe we have Councillors Hall and Richardson.
I'm here. Good morning.
And there's also Councillor T. Richardson as well. Right, thank you. That concludes the roll call, Chair.
Thank you, David. It seems odd to ask the next part since after following on from the roll call, but are there any apologies for absence?
Barry Coppinger, Police and Crime Commissioner.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item 2, declarations of interest from members. Are there any? No. Great. Can we just, members, take a look at the minutes from the meeting held back on January the 10th and also March the 20th, if you can remember back that far, and just confirm if you're happy with those minutes being a true representation of those of that meeting. Any questions or comments on them? Great, thank you. We'll move straight on to agenda item 6.1 then. That's the Her Majesty's Inspectorate of Constabulary and Fire and Rescue Services inspection report. Nick, are you bringing this forward on behalf of Cleveland Fire Brigade?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I believe it was put on the agenda probably at the beginning of the year, and it's sort of transposed to this meeting now. So it's a little bit, it's not out of date or anything like that, but obviously it's not as recent as it would have been if we discussed it earlier in the year. I won't take a great deal of time with it. Basically, for a bit of background, obviously our police colleagues will be aware that we've had the Her Majesty's Inspector of Constabularies, which has been inspecting them for many years. And sort of 2 or 3 years ago, that was updated to reflect the fire and rescue services across the country as well. So over the last 18 months, we've had every fire and rescue service in the country has been inspected, and out of that, they're provided with a rating, an overall rating with 4 possible outcomes, which is inadequate, requires improvement, good, or outstanding. That's broken down into three tiers, if you like. So they are effectiveness, efficiency, and people. So effectiveness, how good we are at providing the services, how good we are at interacting with our communities, prevention work, that type of thing. Efficiency, how we spend our money, how we use our budgets, how good we are at that respect. And the final one is people, so how we treat our people in the organisation. Overall, we were given good rating, so second top rating. Obviously, outstanding being the best. There was no fire and rescue service in the country were given outstanding, so we've been given a rating of good, which is equivalent to the best ones that we've had in the country out of all our other organisations. Just to point out, I'd like to say thank you to anyone who might have participated in the inspection. The Community Safety Partnerships and obviously the Hartlepool Safe Hartlepool Partnership may well have been involved, as the inspectors do come and speak to partner agencies to see how they interact and how we work together. So this is a prime example of a situation where we would have had some collective work in to provide positive outcomes. So again, I'd like to thank, if you were directly or indirectly related by your actions or by being involved with the inspection, specifically, just to say thank you to those involved in that. Anyone got any questions?
Thanks, Nick. I mean, for me, just a belated congratulations, I guess, on behalf of Hartlepool Borough Council. I think as an organisation, Cleveland Fire Brigade work extremely well with us as an authority, and we're proud to work so collaboratively with you. So it's really good to see that you're getting the recognition you deserve, as far as we, and I'm sure the wider community, are concerned as well. But like you said, Nick, if there are any questions or comments from any other members.
No, that's great. I think, like I say, it's a positive outcome for our organisation, but I think it's a positive outcome that we're all collectively working together, and we are having good outcomes from the work that we're doing.
Great. Looks like you're getting off lightly as well, Nick. There's no hands being raised.
Good stuff.
Great, thank you. So the recommendation for the partnership is to note the outcome of the inspection for 18 and 19. Is there any dissent, or everybody happy with that? Great. Thank you very much. Agenda item 6.2, Hartlepool Community Safety Team Neighbourhood Policing. Peter, are you leading on this one?
I am. Would you like me to give you the latest update?
Yes, please.
As I compiled this report several weeks ago, but I'll read it. It'll just take a few minutes. But in essence, I'm just going to reiterate from the Chief Constable his wish to really strengthen neighbourhood policing. So we've gone from a situation where earlier this year, so January, February time, we were down to really low numbers in neighbourhood policing. As we currently stand, we now have 13 police constables in neighbourhood policing. That is increasing to 18 in the next few months. So we've gone from 2 teams covering only 6 days a week to 3 teams, and quite often 2 shifts on 1 team. The 3 teams all have a sergeant, and we have a dedicated inspector. So fortunately, the numbers are increasing significantly, and we are very much targeting our vulnerability, retail crime, and we're looking at the Safer Hartlepool plan now, so drugs, drink, antisocial behaviour, and in particular domestic abuse. And we are now starting to get some real positive results, and engagement is starting to increase, so it's really good. We are working really closely with the community safety team, and some of the results, and specifically ASB, are working really well. I could give some notes regarding some of the recent issues in the parks and how we've reacted quite quickly. That's pretty much it from a neighbourhood point of view. We're a new team being generated, some purpose, lots of objectives, and it's a really, really positive place with the community safety team.
Thank you. I know from an elected member standpoint, of a comment that we've heard for many years is that there is a desire from the public to see police back on the beat and to get to know their local police as well, and so the police know their communities, they can build that intelligence. And as we've said right from the start, it's really good that the new chief constable, well, he's not quite new anymore, is he? But he's really taken that on board, and he's going down that route. And I appreciate plans were kind of delayed with everything that's been going on. But for me, it's a really positive step forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results from it all. Are there any questions or comments from any of the members? No, none. Thanks. Let's have a look. 1 second. So again, the partnership is just being asked to note the report, and that we'll get a further update once more community police are in place. Everybody all right with that? Thank you. Thanks, Pete. 6.3, antisocial behaviour in Hartlepool, the final report from our Audit and Governance Committee. I think this is going to be led by Councillor Hall and Joan Stevens, if I'm correct. Councillor Hall, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. The report was the agenda from the Safer Hartlepool Partnership about 6 months ago. That was the weekend when with lockdown, so it's 6 months on, but it's still relevant, germane at the moment. I present the forum's final report, Antisocial Behaviour in Hartlepool. That was the main topic from the Scrutiny Committee 1920-2020 last year. I will pay tribute to all members of the committee, particularly Councillor Nancy Hamilton as Vice Chair. We consulted North, Central and South hubs, care homes, resident groups, asylum seekers, very important, children in care, and youth council, four youth clubs, taxi drivers, Bellevue out of teams, a lot of consultation. A number of representatives from organisations involved in the prevention of dealing with antisocial behaviour were invited to present evidence to the committee, including Cleveland Police, North East Ambulance Service, Cleveland Fire Brigade and registered social landlords. During the investigation, it was noted that the Victims Commissioner had requested a piece of work to be undertaken by ASB Help and the University of Nottingham-Trent to look at the understanding and impact of experience of victims on antisocial behaviour and the response from agencies to tackle it. One of the contributors is this piece of work was Dr. James Hunter, who was invited to provide the committee with presentation which included information from the crime survey from England and Wales. The presentation highlighted the importance of understanding people's differing perceptions of antisocial behaviour and identifying the risk of antisocial behaviour and the prioritisation of individual cases. I mean, for example, some people concentrating on punishment, or younger people said introducing more activities to help eradicate antisocial behaviour. Whilst I do not intend to go through all the recommendations, I would say to draw attention to the committee's emphasis on continuing groundbreaking partnership of integrated community safety team and delivering enforcement, support and education activity, including prioritisation of antisocial behaviour as a crime due to its significant impact on victims and its role as a potential precursor to criminal behaviour. Police Commissioner Barry Coppinger stated that Hartlepool was in the forefront to link community safety team and police in co-location in the same place. During the investigation, members of the committee were keen to explore the potential to develop more innovative options for reporting antisocial behaviour, including online mechanisms and the use of electronic apps such as Fix My Street, along with the creation of a single point of contact for reporting incidents of antisocial behaviour. I put half a dozen comments about my recommendations. The first one is 3 words: report, report, report. And that's in the ballpark of residents of Hartlepool to contact the community safety team or the police. We've got the numbers of 523 100 or 101. And then they can act with the evidence provided. The second point is mentioned by a lot of people and residents: lack of police and PCSOs. PCSOs are the eyes and ears of the community. And I think we've got a report about police at the moment, about PCs and PCSOs in Hartlepool. I welcome that, and recruiting from more police people. The third point was a lot of people mentioned elected members have a massive role to report issues and respect confidentiality. A lot of residents were reluctant to put forward their views and viewpoints on antisocial behaviour, but use the councillors. I know we're down to 30 now, but there's 30 councillors who can use a massive role to report. The fourth point is get into schools. It's very difficult to get into schools at the moment. Curriculum, the coronavirus and syllabus. But I think we've got some of the actions from ASBAD in the secondary schools and Crucial Crew in primary schools. The 5 point is community trigger. That was a lot of discussion in committee about community trigger, but to me it's a must resort. If we got information from residents in Hartlepool, we won't need community trigger. We need information now from residents in Hartlepool. And the final point is a lot of people say, what's the difference between antisocial behaviour and criminal behaviour? I mentioned the Nottingham Trent, Dr. Hunter, mentioned Baroness Newglove. Her husband was killed on his doorstep, I think. And that was developed from antisocial behaviour to his death. Had we had the presentation from Theresa Cave, his son was knife crime. He stabbed to death. And he founded the Chris Cave Foundation around the country to gospel about the dangers of night crime. On this report, Chair, I conclude, I don't want this report lying on a shelf or indeed on the cloud. It's a working document to be referred and consulted by the authorities and partners in public sector and indeed the voluntary sector. Conclude, it's recommended that the Safer Hartlepool Partnership considers the Audit and Governance Committee's recommendations as outlined in 7.15 of the report. And any questions, I can field those. Thanks very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. I've got Peter Graham with his hand up to come in.
Chair, if you don't mind, I'd like to give you one powerful example of the community safety team and how we work together to reduce antisocial behaviour. I will anonymise it, but it is really, really powerful. So in January I arrived, I've taken an overview of the community safety team, and it's fair to say all the partners are playing a fantastic part, and there's some significant partners there. But one call regarding antisocial behaviour from an elderly male who'd been targeted for 8 months and hadn't put a single call into the antisocial behaviour team. It was very much a Fiona Pilkington type incident where he detailed a catalogue of being targeted in a private property, his caravan being damaged, his dog being threatened to be poisoned, and it intimidated him so much he's afraid to go up his own home. The partnership came together within 12 hours of the report. Fire Brigade targeted hardened his address. Child Services took the juveniles that were tagging the male under the wing and started to put some preventative measures in. Adult Services opened up a case for the vulnerable male, as did VCAS, who visited. The police took on their responsibility for the criminal damage and the threats. I was really proud to be part of a community safety team where they worked so together for one call of antisocial behaviour. We're starting to get there, and some real positives, and I think it was just a really powerful example to share.
Thank you for sharing that. I think for me, if there are no other members wanting to comment or question, I thank you, Councillor Hall, and all members of the Audit and Governance Committee, and indeed everybody who took part in that report. I know how exhaustive it was, and I know how in depth you all kind of got involved in it. You've highlighted some extremely important things that we need to look at, I think, Councillor Hall. And like you, I don't want this to sit on a shelf. We need to actually act on it. And it would be good for us to see updates on how that comes through. And I'm pleased to see that within the recommendations of the report, an action plan for implementing the recommendations will be put together and brought forward. Is there any other questions or comments from members? Joanne.
I just taking myself off mute. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic report, and I'm really pleased to see the work of the Victim Care and Advice Service acknowledged within that report, because statutorily the Police and Crime Commissioner only needs to provide victim services for those victims of crime and not antisocial behaviour. So it's been a local decision to ask us to take on antisocial behaviour. And actually, if I look at the live cases today, of the 35 cases that our Victim Care and Advice Service are dealing with in Hartlepool, 12 of those are antisocial behaviour and largely neighbourhood disputes. So it's fantastic that we're able to get involved in those cases and help. And I'm glad that Pete referenced what we did in the case that he's just mentioned. So it's fantastic. One of the things that we are looking to do, which wasn't mentioned in the report, we provide a restorative justice service, but that is only really for victims of crime. One of the gaps that we've acknowledged is around mediation, particularly for antisocial behaviour. So as part of the Safer Streets initiative, one of the things that we want to look at is maybe introducing a mediation service for antisocial behaviour, to see if that we can do some problem solving and see if that actually makes a difference in those cases. So I just wanted to highlight that, and we'll obviously report our progress to the Safer Hartlepool Partnership in due course as we develop that service.
Thank you, Joanne. Councillor Tennant.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what you said yourself, Chair, is that this report, I mean, it's excellent. It's really in depth, and it should not sit on the shelf. It's really important that we have an action plan implemented and put in place as quickly as possible. And can we also have perhaps whether I could propose that we come back to this in the next 6 months to look at the level at which work has taken place and the effectiveness of that work. I just could that be agreed?
That's one of the recommendations within the report, that we'll monitor the implementation of the action plan, and that it will come back on a 6-monthly basis for us to keep an eye on that. So if that's all right with you, we'll stick with that. Okay. Joanne, were you wanting to come back in? No.
Sorry, down.
No, that's fine. Great. Okay, so the recommendations then, in 4.1, obviously we will receive the report and agree to the recommendations pending consideration of a detailed action plan. Obviously, an action plan will be developed for implementation of the report and considered back at this meeting in November, all being well. We'll monitor the implementation of the action plan and report progress back to Audit and Governance Committee as well on a 6-monthly basis. Is everybody happy with those recommendations? Any dissent? Great, thank you all very much. Item 6.4, the draft community safety plan for 2021. Sylvia Pinkney.
Thank you, Chair. This is to consider and agree the draft community safety plan, which is attached in Appendix 1 of the papers. The Community Safety Partnership has a statutory responsibility to develop and implement a community safety strategy, setting out how it intends to address crime and disorder, substance misuse and reoffending issues. A report was scheduled to be presented to the partnership in March 2020, detailing the arrangements to inform and deliver the community safety plan for 2020 to 2023. However, due to the coronavirus outbreak, the meeting of the Safer Hartlepool partnership was cancelled and the ability to progress was lost at that point in time. Therefore, the 2019 Safer Hartlepool Partnership Strategic Assessment was instead circulated to partnership members for their comments and agreement on the findings and proposed priorities contained within the document. It's proposed that the attached draft community safety plan just covers 1 year and that a further additional work is carried out and undertaken before the production of a 3-year plan covering 2021 to 2024. The Community Safety Plan for 2020-21 provides an overview of some of the recent work undertaken to improve community safety in Hartlepool and the key findings of the Partnership Strategic Assessment and public consultation. It's proposed that the strategic objective for 2021 is to make Hartlepool a safe, prosperous and enjoyable place to live, work and visit. The key priorities for the partnership in 2021 are proposed to be drugs and alcohol, antisocial behaviour and domestic violence. Subject to approval by the partnership, the draft community safety plan will be subject to an 8 weeks consultation period, which will comprise of an online consultation survey, which will be promoted through social media on the council's website and through other mechanisms. There will be targeted emails sent to a wide range of public, private, community and voluntary sector representatives and groups, which will contain contact details of the online consultation survey. There will also be presentations of the draft plan to the Council's Audit and Governance and Finance and Policy Committees. It is anticipated that the final plan will be presented back to the partnership in November 2020 and subject to approval by the partnership will be considered by the Council's Finance and Policy Committee prior to being referred for adoption by full Council in December 2020. The recommendation is that the Safer Hartlepool Partnership consider, discuss and agree any amendments to the proposed draft plan prior to the commencement of the 8-week consultation period. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Sylvia. Are there any questions or comments from members on this one? Doesn't look like it so far. Can I just put on, there's no questions from me. Obviously, I was involved in the earlier part of this, but can I just place on record my thanks to all of those partners who were involved in pulling these recommendations together, because the partnership work was really helpful, and I think being able to have frank conversations and really thrash it all out really helped in pulling together a really positive and honest document, I think, for us to be able to move forward. And I do agree with the recommendation that we move to a 3-yearly one, because doing each year, we're barely implementing anything. By the time we've started on one, we're already preparing the next one, and we're not actually spending our time focusing on hitting the targets of the safety plan. Last chance for anybody. Okay, thank you. So the recommendations, as in the report then, is that the partnership has a statutory duty to develop and implement a plan to reduce crime and disorder, combat substance. Oh, no, I'm reading the wrong thing, sorry. Should go to the opticians. So I'm asking you then to consider, discuss and agree any amendments to the proposed draft plan prior to the commencement of the 8-week consultation period. Everybody happy with it as it stands? Great, thank you all very much. Thank you, Sylvia. And then I believe we're going to take 6.5 and 6.6 together. So that will be Rachel Parker.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. Yes, the Q3 performance report was scheduled to be presented at the March meeting, but again, you know, it's rolled forward to today's agenda due to the cancellation of that meeting. These 2 quarterly reports are the final reports linked to the outgoing community safety plan. Because of COVID, we've not been able to present the information to the partnership in a timely manner, and the reports are now somewhat out of date. The intention for today, Chair, is to ask that members note and comment on the Q3 and Q4 report. And obviously going forward, the performance reports will be linked to the new community safety plan, which will have somewhat different indicators and and content. I'm happy to take any questions on any of the information that is contained in the reports, but I think going forward we need to now concentrate on understanding the impact that COVID has or hasn't had on the work of the Safe Hartlepool Partnership, and how we can address new issues which have come as a result of the pandemic that we find ourselves in. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. I've got Councillor Tennant.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, at the risk of stating the obvious, on Appendix A, you have on the shoplifting, there's been a 45% drop in shoplifting, but obviously in the last few months shops haven't necessarily been open, so I'm not sure whether that's really a recordable piece of data, really, because frankly I don't want to sound bad here, but the opportunity wasn't necessarily there for people to commit that crime. So I don't know whether that should be discounted over the last few months, because frankly it's not quantifiable data, really.
Rachel.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Tennant, was that the Q3 or the Q4 report that you were referring to? Sorry, I'm not sure which one you.
Appendix A, he stated, so 6.6.
On 6.6. Yeah, so that report obviously covered the period up to the end of March. Going forward, I'm not sure that shoplifting will be an indicator in the new plan. However, yeah, so April to June this year, without having the figures in front of me, I would envisage that shoplifting has virtually, disappeared off the scale. So, we will look at that going forward, and I can let you know how far it did drop in the first quarter of this year. But I'm not sure it will be an indicator going forward.
But I guess at the same time, though, whilst those type of opportunities, as I hate to use that term, but that type of opportunistic crime, whilst that wasn't there, we will obviously, I would imagine, see a rise in other crimes, especially more domestic items. Councillor Tennant, were you wanting to come back in on that?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, but the point I was trying to get at really was I don't want that particular recorded information to be used as a reason not to highlight shoplifting as a way of tackling crime over the next few months. As shops reopen and people start going back out again, I don't want people to turn around and say, oh, there's been a 45% reduction. Shoplifting isn't a problem. But actually, when we take into account the last few months, it's not really quantifiable, in my view. Yeah.
It's a fair comment, thank you. Rachel, were you wanting to come back in, or no? Okay. Okay, if there are not any other comments or questions on that, then I'll just ask the partnership to note the performance of Q2 and Q3. Everybody happy with that? Great, thank you very much. There are no other agenda items or any other business that I need to bring forward today. And so the next meeting of the partnership will be Friday, the 13th of November at 10 a.m. Thank you all very much for your attendance. Have a lovely weekend and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.